Hello guys, it's Pedro. And in today's video I'd like to talk about something that might seem a contradiction, but let's try to unpack what that means. And I'm talking about like perfectionism, and specifically why perfectionism can ruin your life basically. So the reason why I was saying that this is sort of like a contradiction is because in our line of work we are often, basically all the time, we are asked to produce perfection, right? Perfect shots to the pixel, all that kind of stuff, we know that, right? But the thing that I think it's important to realize is that there are moments for you to achieve perfection, and other moments, perhaps the majority of the moments, in which you need to be more proactive with little progression, perhaps, but consistently, okay? And that makes the whole difference in many different aspects. But let's, I think, first break down why, what is perfection anyway, right? So perfection, if you think about it, is the final consequence of the accumulation of little things done right one after another. So once that happens, then potentially you have a better chance that you'll find perfection as a consequence, right? But why perfection if not tackled from the right angle? Why is this a problem? And I think there's two sides of why this is a problem. So there's the situation on the personal level, and there's a situation on the professional level, as I alluded to just a while ago, right? So when it comes to the professional level, especially in our jobs, people who think themselves as perfectionists, first of all, they use that sort of like as a badge of honor, when in fact it can be the trait that is ruining their lives, okay? And from experience, when I hear people saying that, because I get to know them a little bit, it seems to me that they have this mentality and this mindset because they lack a strategy of understanding what makes something perfect. So I think every time that you find yourself in this doubt, in this conundrum, I think it's important to go back to that definition that I just mentioned about like what makes something perfect. And again, to repeat myself once again, perfection is more of the consequence, more than anything else. It's the consequence of the accumulation of little things done right one after another, right? So when it comes to the professional setting in visual effects, specifically, or more specifically when it comes to compositing, because that's my background obviously, what I see time and time again is people that lack this understanding is they spend too much time in the beginning of the development of a shot by trying to make every little detail from the get-go as perfect in their own minds, as perfect as possible from the beginning. And it's the same thing. First of all, it's a mistake, and it's the same thing. Let me take a step back. The reason why I think this is a mistake, and I think it's easy to understand, it's like, I'm going to give you like the analogy of like building a house, right? So in order for you to build a house, you need to have like the plans first, and then you start the foundations, and then you start like building things from the ground up. But imagine if the people, let's say that you are the one, building the house, right? Or basically hiring a construction company to build the house for you, obviously, right? Not yourself building it. So imagine what would happen if these people would spend endless times perfecting every single detail while they were building the house. Like, for example, making sure that everything is super perfect when they are basically putting, a window up or whatever. Or not the window itself, but the structure for the window. Or making sure that basically start painting the walls before they even build the structure to build the house itself, right? So this is sort of like an analogy for you to understand exactly what I'm talking about, which means that these people lack the vision first of building the structure, the whole structure first, and then bit by bit, with different levels of importance, start perfecting each one of the features that makes the shot in this case, right? So if you, and the people that lack this understanding, and perhaps you are one of them, what this makes you, achieve is basically an incapacity of seeing the bigger picture, right? Because after a while, you basically are dedicating your time to these little things without even putting the whole thing together. Next thing you know, you are already fighting against time and time again, which means that then you have to basically overcompensate by working late, time and time again, or something of that nature, right? People will ask, in this case, production will come to you, this is not because of, this was not perfect, or this was not done correctly, or this or that, or whatever. Basically pointing fingers at everything that is external without having the willingness to say, maybe, I've made a mistake here in terms of like the strategy, right? And after a while, doing this repeatedly, sometimes years go by with this mentality, and that's also a contributor for burnout or exhaustion, because you're always trying to strive for perfection when it doesn't matter for you to be perfect at that given time, right? So this also means that because you are basically comfortable doing these things and you are basically applying the perfection, let's put it this way, the perfection that you have in your minds about like these little things, because it's something that you perhaps enjoy or perhaps you're more comfortable with, that means that you're going to miss on, different skills that, you basically won't be able to develop these extra skills because you're only worried about these little things that you are so comfortable and maybe you enjoy doing them, right? So it doesn't matter achieving perfection on these specific things that are minor for the bigger picture first, because you need the bigger picture first. Think about the house analogy, and then you worry about these little things, like it's the finishing that makes something perfect, but you need to basically put everything first. You build the whole thing first, you see the bigger picture, and then you'll decide exactly what are the things that are not so good, right? And then you tackle them one by one, as opposed to do the opposite, right? You tackle one by one even before you see the bigger picture, right? So that's sort of like what happens on the professional setting. And then, when it comes to the personal, this is even more, I would say, severe sometimes, So on a personal level, I've met countless of people that without a doubt have missed and keep missing on big opportunities that are in front of them, basically shooting themselves in the foot because they feel that either, they have a problem to solve, and they either feel, or their minds are forced to feel that they either don't have the time to solve that problem, or it's too expensive to solve the problem, or anything in between, right? I've met countless of people regarding this kind of stuff. And look, as cheesy as this may sound, time is really what you make with it, right? So a lot of people that I've met are basically stagnant in this catch-22 scenario, because when they have the money, they don't have the time. When they have the time, they don't have the money. And then next thing they know, it's 6 months, 1 year, 2 years have gone by, and they still have that same problem to solve, which leads to stagnation, or keeping that stagnation. And the more they keep stagnant, the less enthusiastic they will be about their own craft. The momentum that perhaps they have built in the past is completely gone. And so, this means many different things, by the way. This means from personal to professional development, and even investments of whatever kind, a house, or investments of whatever kind, right? So as I said before, invariably this leads to missed opportunities in terms of growth, even in terms of money, So it's for me it's something that it's a painful to watch, that this happens so frequently, both on the professional level and on a personal level as well. I'm going to give you an example. I think this helps. So a personal example, okay? So when I started my career, I didn't dwell on the fact that I came from a different career. For those of you that don't know me that well, I came from an engineer background. And so VFX happened to me sort of by accident. It was not something that was planned or anything like that. But I didn't dwell on the fact that I came from a different world. I didn't dwell on the fact that, maybe I'm going to be considered an outsider with all the ramifications of possible consequences that they can have. And the fact that I didn't do that, I think that became sort of my superpower, my differentiator, okay? And thinking back, or looking back to the beginnings of my career, I think the fact that I naturally embraced and doubled down, by the way, on that fact, on that imperfection, if you will, right? I saw it pay dividends very quickly, and in a lot of aspects, that became one of the main responsible factors for my rapid and sustainable success in my career in visual effects. So another example of this is actually Lair, okay? So Lair was built, and not only Lair as a brand, but then the brand became like the synonymous of the program itself, the Next Level program. And it was by far the less than a perfect time to do that. And I'll tell you why very quickly. So first of all, this was right in the beginning of the pandemic. We were creating something for career advancement when at the same time everyone, or a great portion of everybody in the industry, lost their jobs. At that time, because of the pandemic, we were living between two countries. We had a 4-year-old at that time that, because of this two countries situation, he moved temporarily to a different school, which means all different sorts of adaptation, as you can imagine, all of that challenges at the same time. While this was happening, I was hosting, which was part of like how Lair was born anyway, a weekly YouTube live show with guests and featuring technical videos, which then became the Tech Corner bundle, okay? And this was happening every single week. And while this was happening, I was also building what it came to be the Next Level program, and I did it across 4 or 5 different houses and in between 2 countries. And I did that, all of that, using a 10-year-old computer that by the end of that journey, it died, okay? But I've used everything that I had, less than perfect conditions, even the podcast, which was the live show that I was talking about, that was using that machine with the cheapest equipment possible, with less than perfect conditions that you can think of, because the focus was on the quality of the content and not on the visuals. And most of the times I see exactly the opposite. And it happens a little bit in filmmaking these days anyway. That's a separate conversation. But anyway, so my focus was on the content and forget about all the rest. This channel is also exactly the same thing. I'm using my machine. It's not the 10-year-old anymore, but it's just my regular machine, my computer, the camera that comes with it. I have like this cheap mic. And this is how I'm doing, because I'm concerned more about the message and more about like the content rather than the visuals or how it looks like, okay? And so at the same time, like just continued finishing off that personal example, the company, Lair, was incorporated, like it was a complex process for us at that time. It was incorporated in the UK while we were not in the UK at that time. So we were doing this from a distance, which makes everything even more complicated. And at the same time, my mom has been diagnosed with a serious health condition. She's fine now, totally fine, and I'm happy to say that. But this is how Lair was born. So the result of all this, in less than perfect conditions, is we've achieved success as a company, and we've provided success for everybody that worked with us and continue to do so, right? So imagine what would happen if I would be focusing on the adversity or on less than perfect conditions, or just waiting for the perfect conditions to happen in order for me to, or for us to do that, right? It would never happen, potentially, right? We wouldn't have a company, we wouldn't be able to help so many people, we wouldn't be able to make a difference in their lives. None of that would happen. Not for us, personally speaking, not for us as a company, not for others that sought our support and they achieved success. None of that would happen, okay? So the thing to retain here that I would like you to think of is there will never be a perfect time or a perfect moment or perfect conditions for you to do anything. This is just a reality. So if you have something that you want to do or something that you want to solve for you or for your family or for your family as a consequence perhaps, seek the answers, seek the support, don't take no for an answer. It feels scary, and if it feels scary and there's a part of you that still thinks or knows that is the way to move forward, that in itself tells you right there that you should do it, right? Because if you don't do it, it will not happen, you know? Trust your gut. If it's something that you feel that is something that you still need to do, although it feels scary, you should do it, okay? And what I'm trying to say is that that's the prime indicator that you should do it. That's basically what I'm saying. So the thing is, the mentality about this, the mindset about this is like, you shoot first and aim last. Because once you take the first step, then you readjust and you'll make it work. Don't overthink things. Don't overcomplicate things. Don't make your life miserable. Don't seek the perfect conditions for you to do this or to do that, because it will never come, right? So once you embrace that imperfection, once embraced, leads to progress as opposed to stagnation. And progress will always beat the need of perfect conditions for the so-called perfection. Perfection comes as a consequence, right? So I can say without a shadow of a doubt that the people that we work with, the ones that achieve the best results, are without a doubt, because we have data that supports this, are without a doubt the ones that, although they might feel scary about the time or about whatever, but the ones that achieve the best results are the ones that don't dwell on any of this. They are ready to go, they just want to find the answers, and they are willing to do whatever it takes. If they don't have the time, they will find the time. They will be willing to do whatever it takes to try to get to the answers. And invariably, those who do that, they are without a doubt the ones that achieve the best results. And they achieve the results quicker than probably they even imagine. All right? So learning on how to manage this perfectionism can definitely, because of all the things that I said before, even including my own examples here, that can lead to a healthier work-life balance. It's something that so many people mention these days, and for a good reason. So the need for perfection at all times can really lead to, like an unhealthy way of living, and it can really ruin your life, right? So it's very important that, again, to just summarize, make sure that your mind is within the progress rather than finding the perfect conditions, the perfect moment, the perfect amount of time, the perfect amount of money, the perfect this, the perfect that for you to take the step. Take the step that you think you should take, even if it feels scary, and if there's a part of your brain that, although it feels scary, still thinks it's the right thing to do, that tells you right there, as I said before, that that's the prime indicator, actually, that you should move forward, right? So I hope you liked it today, guys. This was the thing that I would like to talk to you today. And one thing that we put available to all of you is you can try our free GrowthReady Scorecard. I'll put the link in the description below. And basically all you have to do is answer a few questions, and you will find out at the end of all these questions if your skill set in many different aspects, including your personal life, by the way, is on track for career growth. And at the end, we will give you a 9-page full report with your results and actionable suggestions for you to improve the score that you got. And it's completely free, so it's a no-brainer here, okay? And I think that can help you quite a lot. And another way that we can help you is if you are committed to achieve the success that you envision for yourself. There's also a link below in the description that you can add yourself to the next level program waiting list, okay? And if you seem to be a good fit, my team will get in touch with you, so you can jump on a call and try to learn a little bit more about you. What are your roadblocks? What are the things that you are trying to achieve? What is your experience? We take all of that kind of into account to understand whether or not we can help you. If we can help you, we'll let you know how, and we'll discuss next steps. If not, that's totally fine too. But, you know, I think it's important that you feel that perfection can definitely ruin your life if you don't tackle perfection when it's time to be tackled. If you tackle perfection from the get-go in everything that you do, in every single little thing, then you don't do anything because you feel that the conditions are not met for you to do them, right? So remember this to finish off: progress beats perfection at all times. Perfection comes as a consequence. All right? So I hope you liked it, guys, and I hope to see you very soon. Bye-bye.